Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Privet, bonjour, guten tag, hola, ciao to my foreign friends. And today we're going to be talking, this is another video on patterns. And today we're going to be talking about the regular jack pattern. And that's characterized by a fairly narrow square end jackknife that slowly tapers to a wider point on the head of the knife. Usually this is about a third larger than the end here. And a lot of them measure around, 13/16 larger. That's about the ratio that you find on these knives. And if you hold up similar knives, you can see they're really close to the same ratio. A bigger knife would be wider here, but it's also wider on the tail end of the knife too. So the ratio kind of is very consistent with these regular jacks. This is a round one with a round head also. Looks a little different, but it's a regular jack pattern. So you can find this pattern from really small pen knives all the way up to really large jackknives, hunter patterns. This is a stabber right here, but and everything in between. You really don't find it a whole lot in pen knives. It's one of the patterns that didn't really translate over into pen knives. I've seen some cheap ones from Imperial that had a regular jack pattern. I've got a brand new hen and rooster that is a Barlow pattern, which is a regular jack, but that's kind of an aberration. A Barlow pen knife, that's just kind of a collector thing. It wasn't something that's mass produced. So it's a pretty boring pattern. There's not a lot to it, but it is also was a really popular pattern. And I've looked for the origin of this pattern, and I don't see any evidence that it's a British pattern, but I have found that late in the 1700s, British fruit knives had a kind of a regular jack pattern. I'm not sure it was the same ratio that the Americans used for the pattern, but you definitely can see it a little bit in those older English fruit knives. And then it really appears in the early 1800s when these Barlows get popular in America. So for whatever reason, the Americans preferred this type of pattern. I don't know whether American companies were making this pattern or whether the British were just trying to make a cheaper, less expensive knife pattern. I don't know, but it pops up around the early 1800s, and it's different. Barlows in England were way back, and a lot of them had pistol grips on them, and they were slightly larger than our Barlows. And this pattern here just kind of evolves from the early 1800s, and by 1840 you start seeing this regular jack pattern, in dirks and folding hunters and other knives, as well as the Barlow. And it just kind of takes off from there, and you pick it up in regular jackknives, two-bladed, single-bladed jackknives. And so I think it kind of evolved from the Barlow. I think it was the Barlow that first used a regular jack pattern, and then other styles of knives picked it up. But the regular jack name is just an NKCA designation for the pattern of the knife. But Western and E.C. Simmons in the early 1900s called their jacks like this regular jacks. So most companies didn't even bother to name a knife like this. They just would call it a jackknife, single blade or two bladed jackknife. But kind of a boring pattern, but that's kind of the lowdown on regular jacks. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, you'll know the truth will set you free. And I really appreciate you guys for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and you'll see everything coming out. Thanks again.